Hey everybody, welcome back once again. Today is June 17th, 2019. In this video, I'm going to be talking about today's death of former Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi. And what we're going to focus on in this video is, of course, numerology, particularly with a focus on the language of Gematria. Gematria being the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. And this practice is very much well and alive in today's English alphabet. We start with English ordinal, which numbers the alphabet 1 through 26, each letter relative to its position. The reduction method, or Pythagorean gematria, uses the rules of numerology to reduce each double-digit number to a single digit. And when we compare this language and pay attention to date numerologies, date durations, you're going to find a number of alignments in pretty much everything you decode that comes out of the mainstream media, and today's death of Mohamed Morsi is certainly no exception. And the basis of this entire code that has to do with death, the sacrifice, is all centered around the story of Jesus Christ and his crucifixion in the New Testament of the Bible. 3 of the 4 Gospels explain a scenario in which Jesus was crucified under dark skies, which many historians believe was a solar eclipse. And whether or not that was actually the case, whether or not the story of Jesus is just an astrological allegory, won't really be a topic of the video, but the code that's in place, that's underlying this event, repeats itself in virtually every major death you see in these celebrities. So we're going to talk about that. First, I want to talk about how the basic date numerology ties into the death of Mohamed Morsi and how it points to the word sacrifice. To begin with, let's look at the birthday of Mohamed Morsi. This man was born on August 8th of 1951. His birthday listed here on Wikipedia on the left. This date had what we call full numerology of 86. 8 plus 8 plus 19 plus 51. There's an alternate method of numerology I call standard numerology, 8 plus 8 plus 51, that gives us the number 67. And what I want to point out about these numbers is how they are the geometric values of the phrase blood sacrifice, 6786, as well as human sacrifice, 67 and 86. And whenever we're looking at these numbers, we have to keep an eye out for prime numbers, as these are integral to the study. 67 is the 19th prime number, and of course here we are in the year 19. But if you measure from the date Mohamed Morsi was born to the date he died, you find that he was 67 years, 10 months, and 9 days. So right off the bat, we have a prime number relationship in his age that points directly at his birth numerology of 67. It's also being said that he died during a court hearing. And in reduction, court hearing also has a value of 67. But it's not just the days since his birthday that's relevant. We're also going to look at the number of days until his next birthday. This would be 52 days, or 7 weeks, 3 days. The word sacrifice sums to 73 in the alphabetic order. So does the word Egypt. And of course, Morsi, known for being the president of Egypt. You may also notice that the word sacrifice sums to 62 in reduction, just like the word Egypt, using the reverse order. Both of these terms, 73 and 62. And not only did he die 7 weeks and 3 days before his birthday, but today's full numerology, 6 plus 17 plus 20 plus 19, is 62. So now let's talk a little bit more about how this ties into the Eclipse crucifixion code. And one thing worth noting is that when you're looking at this painting, this is called Christ on the Cross. It's also called Christ at the Cross, according to other sources, but regardless, the painting was completed in the year 1870. And a lot of people recognize 187 as the homicide code. But in Gematria, total eclipse equals this number, 187 as well. So I find it interesting that in the story of Jesus, he died under a solar eclipse. The Jewish Gematria cipher is based in the Latin alphabetic order, and this cipher is certainly the most significant outside of our standard alphabetic order. You'll see the more modern English characters are placed at the end of this method. So here, solar eclipse equals 433, the event that Jesus died under. Meanwhile, Mohamed Morsi died in court. And check it out, court, also with this value of 433. In the English alphabet, court sums to 77, which is the same as Christ, 77. And we're going to see a lot of geometric overlaps between Mohamed Morsi and Jesus Christ. For one, Christ equals 32, and Mohamed Morsi's birth numerology from 1951, he was born on a date with a life lesson number of 32. But in order to really understand the basis of this code, we need to understand the importance of the significance of the number 1331. And this is all centered around the one total solar eclipse that occurred in the year 1331, still the only one whose path of totality I've seen that never touched a major body of water. The phrase Jesus the Messiah sums to 1331. 1331 eclipse equals 1331. And that eclipse was on the only date on the calendar that, when spelled out, sums to 1331, which is November 30th. And think about how the number 1331 is the merging of the two 33s. Eclipse equals 33. It's widely believed that Jesus died at age 33. But it's really a merging of the numbers 133, which sums to 1331, and 331, which also, with the same letters, summing to 1331. So really, the fact that 133 sums to 1331 is a key piece of this code. Also notice how 133 sums to 303 in reverse, just like eclipse is 33, and 120 in reduction. Eclipse, 120 in reverse. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What I wanted to point out is that the reason he was in court was because he was facing an espionage charge, which sums to 133 in ordinal. Remember, this man used to be the president, which equals 133. And his name, Mohamed Morsi, equals 133 in the alphabetic order. Now, before I continue, I just want to be clear. CNN chose the spelling M-O-R-S-Y for this article. And this really isn't that accurate. The reason Wikipedia went with M-O-R-S-I is because this was from a survey of different sources, which found that the vast majority used Morsi, M-O-R-S-I, and only one used the one with a Y. But we'll explain why CNN chose this spelling in a second. So, undoubtedly, Morsi with an I is the one we're going to go with. Now, what about the reverse alphabetic order, 191? This is also a prime number. It would be the 43rd prime number. In reduction, Egyptian equals 43, so does the name Jesus Christ. He was even born on the date August 8th, which sums to 146, which is the reverse value of Jesus Christ. In reduction, Mohamed Morsi equals 61, just like his birthday, August 8th, also 61. This death is also tied to the current president of Egypt, and it's not to say this man knows anything about it. I believe a lot of these people in office could be unaware, Maybe not at the high levels like president, but check this out. This guy assumed the office of president on June 8th in 2014. If you measure from the date he took office to the date of the death of Mohamed Morsi, whose name sums to 61, it was 60 months and 10 days. This guy's full name equals 610, just like the number 61. In numerology, these zeros are ignored, so, yet another 61 that we see here. And 61 is the reverse value of Jesus. In fact, notice how Jesus also sums to 74 and 34. All of these numbers found in the name Morsi. 61, 74, and 34. This makes it interesting that he died on June 17th, which also sums to 61 and 74. The other numbers here are interesting. 187. Remember the homicide code, 187, total eclipse, 187. 218 in reverse, this is the Hebrew value of moon and the extended value of death. Now there's one other number in the name Jesus Christ that I haven't mentioned yet. That would be the ordinal value of 151. Perhaps it's a coincidence. Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi equals 151 in the alphabetic order. His name also summing to 443, just like the sun. But again, that's not really his name. But really, we're focusing on the 151 here, right? The name of Jesus Christ. Well, this death was in relation to this year's, or not this year's, but the 2017 Great American Eclipse, as well as this year's. Mohamed Morsi's last day in office was July 3rd of 2013. And remember 73, the value of sacrifice. But this means his last day in office was exactly 1,510 days before the Great American Total Solar Eclipse. And if you measure from this same eclipse, well, first I'll mention that he died in Cairo, Egypt, which sums to 151. But if you measure from the Great American Eclipse to the date he died, you get a span of exactly 666 days. And 666, this is a number that's tied into the Jesus riddle, as it always is. So we're talking about 151, the ordinal value of the name of Jesus Christ. This is also a prime number. See how 151 is the 36th prime number. Well, the 36th triangular number, meaning if you add every number 1 through 36, you get 666. So the number that has 3 sixes is the 36th triangular. It's a really interesting fact of numerology. And Morsi even became the president of Egypt on the 30th of June, which is the date written 30/6 in Egypt. So an eclipse is synonymous with circles. Think about how an eclipse is the intersection of the two largest circles in the sky. And in Gematria, eclipse equals 69 and 33, just like the word circles, 69 and 33. Mathematics of the circle equals 666 in Jewish Gematria. If you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, you get a product of 216, and that's the ordinal value of this same phrase. So no doubt, 666 is part of this riddle with Jesus and eclipses. Now, if we instead measure to the next total solar eclipse, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks down in South America, He died exactly 15 days before that eclipse. And of course, the circle is the 15th letter in the alphabet. In fact, 15th equals 15 and a circle in reverse gematria. But the letter O, the circle, the 15th letter. By the way, O having a Jewish value of 50 is also significant because the word circle equals 50 in ordinal. And this eclipse that's coming up is on the 2nd of July, which in Egypt is written as 2/7. So I'm thinking that might be why they went with the name Morsi with a Y, as this sums to 27 in both reduction methods. Also, oh, look at this, guys. This is just something I figured out now. I didn't make a post on this, or I didn't do this in the post. But on the date of this year's eclipse, look how old Mohamed Morsi would be. Exactly 24,800 days. Human sacrifice equals 248 in reverse gematria. But what I was going to look at is on the date he died, Morsi was 313 days after his birthday. Now, 313 is a prime number, the 65th prime number, and Morsi with a Y equals 650 in Jewish gematria, so perhaps that has something to do with it. If you include the end date, he also died 314 days after his birthday. In Satanic gematria, which ironically enough is the cipher built around the number 666, Satanic gematria having a sum of 666 in this cipher, the word eclipse equals 314 in that method. And if you think me, this YouTuber in the corner of the internet, is the only one who knows about gematria, definitely not. CNN, who's presenting us this coded news, is also aware of this. Notice how their headline gives us a reverse value of 665. Well, he died 665 days after the most recent total solar eclipse. That's without the end date included. In reduction, we get values of 226 and 251. In English extended, sacrifice equals 226. And in reverse, ritual sacrifice equals 251. Something else that's really interesting, by the way, that's worth pointing out with the calendar. When you write out 666, it has an English value of 2127. This cipher, similar to Jewish gematria, but using the current 26-letter English alphabet. And 666 days is often 21 months and 27 days. So here, Morsi died 21 months, 27 days after the eclipse, which is also a span of 666 days. Okay. So thanks to everybody who jumped in. I've been getting a lot of questions about the calculator lately. I haven't done any work on the website in a long time, if you guys haven't noticed. Programming has become less and less fun as I get older, and I don't know how many improvements I'll be making. As far as, edits to the table, I might be doing that. Give you the ability to remove phrases and stuff like that, because that's something that I could actually really use too for my blog posts. So I will eventually look at implementing that, but don't count on it anytime soon because it's a lot of work that I really don't feel like doing. Not really a programmer by trade, Zenith of the Alpha has some good observations on 1331. This whole number that the Eclipse code is centered around. This 1331 is actually 11 cubed. And a lot of people would write this as 11 to the third power. And think about how the only date that sums to 1331 is November 30th, which is written 11/30, like 11/3 or 11 to the third. Where do you get Morsi summing to 617? I'm curious about that one because that's today's date. Oh, look at that. Huh. Excellent find. So here, this is the trigonal cipher. And this is an ancient base 10 cipher from Hebrew. And it uses the alphabetic order, but instead of 1 through 26, it uses the associated trigonal numbers or triangular numbers. And the name Morsi equals 617 in this cipher. And of course, today is June 17th, the date he died. So that's a really good catch as well. Wow. Damn, Zenith has so much good information. It's insane. I feel dumb even trying to repeat it sometimes. But yeah, there's definitely something interesting about today's date, 617, because 617 is the 113th prime number. Now, 113 is the number of deception. Bullshit, 113. Disinfo, 113. Not honest. Dishonest. Not true. Fiction. I mean, all these words sum to 113. You know, it's the Scottish rite of Freemasonry giving us these news stories. Scottish equals 113. I saw a 311 pop up in this too, and I was going to ignore it, but now that you guys mentioned it. Yeah, this was it. His last full day in office. I didn't include this because it's not exact. His last day in office was July 3rd, 2013. But if you measure from July 2nd, 2013, remember this year's eclipse is on July 2nd, he died a span of exactly 311 weeks later, which is the inverse of 113. So kind of a looser connection. You know, I'm not really big on the whole number reflections. I don't usually say those are matches unless it's a really big number, but who knows? This could be part of the whole thing. All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for this video. I got to take off, so hope you all have a good evening. Please do feel free to like, share, and subscribe, as always. This is Derek, and we'll talk to you later this week. Peace, love, and God bless. Adios.